Hello and welcome to Velvet's Viewer Ventures. This request came from Moncule Marjolaine, who asked for a video on some games to do with elves, so let's get started. I did want to at least put a couple retro titles in here. Maybe Zelda? I'm not sure. I mean, even freaking Soul Calibur 2 then could be considered an elf game. And that's just not what I'm going for here. This is a game I didn't think I'd like as much as I did. The gameplay centers around a bejeweled style board that corresponds to the characters you have on the field. As you make matches, the characters will attack or heal. The goal is to make the largest matches possible or to create the highest chains that you can. Once you beat the initial stage, the world opens up to you and you can head to a town complete with a tavern, weapons, armor, magic item shops, and start taking main or side quests. What makes this so cool is that there's an entire inventory system. Weapons that change on the characters, which is the best thing ever. Elemental weaknesses, all the RPG staples I'm looking for are here. You just happen to be playing Bejeweled while you're RPGing around. As for the plot, you're a group of mercenaries taking jobs and hunting down enemies. On one of the missions, you meet an elf who lost her memories, so she joins the party with the hopes of regaining them. Once she joins your party, you're introduced to the swap mechanic, and her charms are little butterflies! The reserve characters have a cooldown before they're allowed to swap into the Vanguard, so if you make the mistake of swapping out your healer, there's a shockingly high amount of turns that have to pass until you can move the character back. I suppose you could say luckily they still regen while they're back there, but it's a stupid thing to do in the heat of the moment. This one comes with a huge recommendation from me. However, when I was looking at the reception, it was mixed. Fair is fair here. I only played the demo that was available for the video, but damn, this game is only $12 and an hour passed for me before I realized it. I'll definitely be grabbing a copy once I finish it out. So, something you need to know about me is that I love shouting out small indie projects, games, artists, you name it. So when this request came in, I tried my best to find a small game made by a small team. Ghosting Vandal was the result of that. It's an action platformer that sees you playing as Maz, an elf who attacks with 2 gun blades. Now, does it get any better than that? It's an acrobatic platformer, so you'll be bouncing around the stages and obstacles, climbing up walls and reflecting attacks back at enemies. Like Mega Man, as you take down baddies, you get new upgrades for your kit.
Sneaky bastard!
The first one I got my hands on was an electric fish, yes, really, that can be reflected back by your blades once shot out. It's actually pretty dope to juggle them back and forth, having them hit enemies over and over again. I also think it's really stylized and charming. Not everything is voice acted, but the parts that are well done.
Good to see you decided to join the fight.
Definitely check this out if the gameplay seems more your cup of tea.
Vermin!
Yo, so I have to throw this one if you're interested in something retro. Way back in the day, when the Lord of the Rings movies were released, there were a slew of movie tie-in games for all the consoles back then. Mostly action games, but there was a really awesome RPG. Lord of the Rings The Two Towers was the one I played the most of with friends. It's a co-op game that sees you moving through the plot of the movie, going from scene to scene. These can be levels that you move through fighting enemies along the way, or holding your ground against an onslaught of orcs. What makes this one about elves? Well, it has one of the dopest elves of all time, Legolas, as a playable character. At the start of each level, you choose which character you want to play as. Although, at the start of the game, you can only use the main 3, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli. Check it out if you're dying for some old school goodness. It's absolutely best playing with a friend though, if you can. Okay, biased here, but Tales of Symphonia is one of my all-time favorite games, if not my favorite game of all time. One day, I'll do a super long, in-depth review of the game, but for now, I want to throw it on this list and talk about it. In the world of Tales of Symphonia, there are 3 races: elves, humans, and half-elves, the last being the children of a human and an elf, and the story of the game centers around the interplay and relationships between those races. As for the gameplay, it's an early Tales game, so while I prefer the gameplay here to the modern stuff, this may take some time to get used to if you're more familiar with what the Tales series grew into as it aged. Either way, you'll get to hang out with some of the most charming characters you'll ever meet and face a ton of creative enemies and bosses in real-time combat. It's super accessible to get your hands on these days, so I think you owe it to yourself to check it out for the story alone. That's it! Those are my 4 picks for Elves in Gaming. I hope this list helps you find something you'll love. And hey, if there are any other viewers out there that have an idea for something they'd like to hear me talk about, let me know in the comments. I have a ton of fun browsing through the recently released indie games tab on Steam and looking for gems that nobody has found yet. There's a ton of amazingly creative people out there creating really cool stuff, and even though my spotlight is small, I love to shout them out. Thanks so much for watching!